Well, as Canadians are forced to stay home, it seems some people aren't spending as much as they once were. And with that, we're starting to see the rise of the everyday investor during this pandemic. TSX seeing new highs today, partly due to the online forum Wall Street Bets fueling weed stocks. Bitcoin has also seen a rise. But in a speech posted to YouTube on the digital economy and payments innovation, the Deputy Governor for the Bank of Canada warns against buying into cryptocurrency. He said, in part, even in this increasingly digital economy, cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin do not have a plausible claim to being the money of the future. The recent spike in their prices looks less like a trend and more like a speculative mania atmosphere in which one high-profile tweet is enough to trigger a sudden jump in price. So where should you be putting that extra cash you've saved from foregoing this year's family vacation or skipping a night out with friends? Joining me now is personal finance journalist Rubina Ahmed-Haq. Thanks for being with us here on Canada Tonight. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So, I want to start by pointing out that, of course, lots of people are struggling financially because of the pandemic, because of job loss and lots of other reasons. But for those people who are still getting their regular income, it seems like they've been able to put more away during the pandemic. I want to look at a couple of stats here because this graph is pretty telling. The household savings rate hit an all-time high in the second quarter of 2020 at 27.5% compared to that time last year, it was 1.4. Is that surprising to you?
I mean, it was pretty mind-blowing to see the savings rate jump as high as it did in the month after the pandemic was declared, because we were all focused on job losses and people's financial situations being ruined really overnight, whereas a lot of Canadians have been able to keep their jobs, stay at home, not spend money on even things like transportation and going out, and all that money is coming back in the way of savings. So yeah, I was surprised. It was a pretty hefty number. We're actually on track for 2020 to for 2020, we saved about 7%, which is still about triple what we normally save, our savings rate, and also saving in 2021, because as you know, the pandemic is continuing and we're continuing to stay at home and not spend a lot of money on those extras.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you think about it, you're just a family with kids going out to the movie, that's quite a bit of money, or going to a birthday party or having people over for a party, the kids' social activities. There's so many things that we were spending money on that just aren't happening right now. So now, as we said, people are looking for a place to grow their money. Is this the best time to invest? And what's your advice to people who are just kind of getting into investing?
Yeah, I mean, there's never a bad time to invest. I know the markets right now are very volatile and it can scare some people to get into the market. If you've got a long-term horizon, so I'm talking 5, 10, 15 years, the market news right now should just be seen as entertainment. You should still be making the same kinds of decisions that you would make a year ago, 2 years ago, buying companies that have good growth potential, buying companies that have a history of growth, buying companies that pay a dividend, blue chip stocks as we often call them, and investing for the long term. Not trying to day trade and react to news and react to what's happening on a Reddit forum, because that's when you really are gambling. I mean, you might as well just go to a casino once they're open again and just gamble your money, because it's the same kind of thing. I mean, today we saw what happened with, this week rather, we saw what happened with Bitcoin. That can happen with any other industry. I mean, with what's been going on with Reddit, what's been going on with Elon Musk this week, it can be a really volatile place to try to invest your money based on the news that you're hearing.
So to that point, the Bank of Canada calling Bitcoin's boom a speculative mania, but you have people like Elon Musk telling people to invest in Bitcoin. So you're saying we should be listening to the Bank of Canada?
Well, I mean, the Bank of Canada is going to say that, this is mania. I think that there is a future for cryptocurrency. We just don't know what it's going to look like. The problem with cryptocurrency right now is that we can't actually go out and buy a cup of coffee or a car or anything else, really. I mean, all we can really do is invest in it. And yes, we are succumbing to news that sometimes comes through Twitter. So Elon Musk decides to buy $1.5 billion of Bitcoin, and all of a sudden the investment that you made goes up. But what if he decides to sell it? Then all of a sudden it could go down. So, the Bank of Canada obviously wants to stay with traditional currency, keep that model of a central bank. It's their job to give people encouragement that the currency is still strong. But that doesn't mean that you can't invest in cryptocurrency. Just don't do it with all of your money. Do it with some of the money, and do it with money that you are willing to watch be quite volatile. Because we've been here before. This is the third time we've seen Bitcoin specifically reach those record highs and then have very dramatic falls.
Okay, and the Bank of Canada says it is working on its own digital currency. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so today the deputy governor made a remark about that, talking about how they are working on a digital loonie. I don't really understand how that would work, because the whole idea of cryptocurrency is to take away the idea of the central bank, so that if I'm doing business with somebody in India, I can send the money immediately without any fees, and the transaction is in real time, so I can pay somebody right away. You know, we already do use digital currency in the sense that many of us don't carry cash. We get paid into our online accounts. We go to the store and we pay with a credit card. We pay our credit card balances off with the money that's in our account digitally. So they are, of course, watching what's happening with cryptocurrency. They don't want to be the blockbuster when Netflix is coming up and saying, you know, we're just going to stay the same. They don't want to be the you know, in a situation where people aren't using traditional currency anymore and they've got nothing else to offer.
Okay, let's get back to this conversation about savings and investment. And kind of in that direction, I want to talk about interest rates. Is this a good time, you know, if you're not investing, or if you're looking at where I should be, you know, taking advantage? Should I be paying down my mortgage? Should I be trying to pay down debt? What should I be looking at right now?
So in a low interest rate environment, if you've got a lot of debt, say you have a really big mortgage, when you put a lump sum payment down, it goes further. It actually helps reduce your debt even more so. A lot of people believe that, oh, well, because the interest rates are so low, what's the point of, you know, actually making these extra payments? The reason is that when the economy slows down, if there is a recession, the thing that gets people into a lot of trouble is their ability to service debt. So if you have extra money right now, one, pay your high interest debt down. So that's credit cards or an unsecured line of credit. And two, you could pay a lump sum to your mortgage, so your overall debt servicing goes down, so that in the future, if there was a recession, you could service your debt much more easily. And if you've got all of that taken care of, start an emergency fund. One thing when the pandemic was declared was those people who had some cash on the side that they could tap in the event of an emergency, they just felt that much more comfortable knowing, you know, things are bad, but at least I've got this money on the side that I could use if things go really sideways for me. Okay,
really quickly before we go, tax season is coming up, and it's been kind of a weird year. If you've been out of work, if you collect CRB, EI, what do people need to consider as they're heading into tax season?
Well, you should now know what you made as a total income in 2020. So that could be partly EI, partly CERB, and some income from your employer. Make sure that you know what that number is. Go into a simple income tax calculator. It'll ask you what province you live in, and then put in that number, and it will tell you how much income tax you'll owe and all the other taxes you'll owe, and then compare it to what you've actually given the CRA. And if you feel that you are going to have a tax bill, you could make an RRSP contribution before the deadline, which is March 1st, and that would reduce your overall income, therefore reduce your overall income tax bill to Canada Revenue Agency, and help you out a little bit by saving for your retirement and reducing your tax bill as well.
All right, Rubina, so great to talk to you, and lots of great advice. That's Rubina Ahmed-Haq. She is a personal finance journalist. Thanks for being with us on Canada Tonight.
Thank you for having me.